The Zenfone Max Pro. Asus, after a couple of years of silence, thanks mostly to excellent but highly priced launches, are back with a bang. This time, they've got a great little budget offering in the form of the Zenfone Max Pro. Starting at 10,999 with that excellent Snapdragon 636 chip, is this phone all that you think it is? Is it worth your time? Well, let's find out in today's video. But before we do, if this is your first time here or in case you just can't remember, my name's Ash, you're watching C4E Tech. Here's a card to our latest giveaway. I will also be leaving a link to it in the description below, and while you're down there, don't forget to click that bell icon to turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on our videos. Let's now get started. So guys, there's quite a lot of things I liked and a few things I disliked with this phone. And to explain, let's first start with the build. What I didn't like here is that back. It's a fingerprint magnet. It picks up smudges and fingerprints very easily. And then the build itself, it doesn't really stand out. It's kind of generic. When you see this phone, you definitely get a "I've seen this before" vibe. That said, there are a lot of things the Zenfone Max Pro has going for it. For starters, it's got a metal back, which is always nice. The edges curve so they don't cut into your hand during long-term usage. In my time with it, I actually misplaced my Bluetooth buds and did take long calls with it, and it was great. It was comfortable. By the way, the cellular reception and earpiece quality were top-notch. I didn't face any drops, and the earpiece was loud and clear throughout. Anyway, back to the build. The dual vertical cameras don't protrude. The phone is just 8.5mm thick and weighs in at around 180 grams, which happens to be around the same weight as the Redmi Note 5 Pro. Now, the Max Pro does sport a higher capacity battery. Overall, I'd say job well done, Asus, when it comes to build. Since we touched upon that battery capacity, let's talk internals. The Zenfone Max Pro has a mammoth 5000 mAh battery to power the Snapdragon 636 chip inside. Asus includes a 10-watt charger in the box. While that's not really fast charge standards, it's still fast enough. Charges the phone from 0 to 100% in about 2.5 hours. For a phone with a 5000 mAh battery, that's cool. Asus offers 332, 464 and 664 RAM storage configurations. It is also worth noting that there's dedicated support for microSD, so you don't have to choose between microSD and a secondary SIM on this phone. Now, the Snapdragon 636 is the chip we've seen before. The first phone to sport it was the Redmi Note 5 Pro. If you want to know more about that phone, here's a card. Now, if you did watch that video, you know that this chip was an exceptional performer. This is the same again here with the Zenfone Max Pro. With day-to-day usage, everything felt fast and snappy. Apps opened up quick, the user interface also felt very responsive. Even when pushed, like with intense games, the 636 chip on the Zenfone Max Pro held up quite well. As of now, most of the times, I've had no issues with the Max Pro, but if I do game for a while and do something intense like capturing video, then there's a bit of stutter. Initially there were more throttling issues, but it's all been mostly fixed. Asus says there's another major update incoming that should improve the user experience even further. Talking about updates, Asus have already sent out multiple fixes for this phone. Now that's a sign that they are taking this very seriously. Asus have also promised bi-monthly security patches. It's not monthly, but hey, at least it's better than a certain brand's quarterly updates, right? Anyway, there were some non-committal promises towards support for Android P and Q. If it happens, that's great, but realistically, I'd be happy if they even just provide stable Android P on time. Now, the reason for the excellent user experience is not just because the hardware inside is very powerful, it is also thanks in large to the fact that the Zenfone Max Pro runs on a unique version of Zen UI. Yeah, they are still calling it Zen UI, but they could have just called it stock Android because almost everything here is stock. There are very few changes that Asus have incorporated. There are a few display tweaks, some gestures included. Now this is something I always like, draw a shortcut to make sure that particular app launches on unlock. But barring these few add-ons, everything is stock. So what else? Face unlock should be available soon via an OTA, and the fingerprint scanner, now that speed is really slow. It's been improved with a few updates, but it still is comparatively slow. It is a pain point with this phone. And oh yeah, almost forgot the cameras. For that, Asus is using Qualcomm Snapdragon camera app. This app is quite feature packed. It's got a few shooting modes, customizable beauty effects, a lot of filters, and on the video front, it's got support for not just 4K video but 4K DCI, which is a wider form of 4K compared to UHD, more pixels. Talking about the camera app, let's talk about the cameras themselves. We have a dual camera setup to the back, a primary 13 megapixel sensor with 1.12 micron sized pixels and an f2.2 lens, along with a 5 megapixel depth sensor. Under good light, image quality is moderate, there's a reasonable amount of detail, the dynamic range is average, the images are a little strong on saturation and in some cases a tad warm. They do look pleasing to the eye though. Under low light, there's quite a bit of noise that creeps in. The camera performance is quite average here. Given the price segment, that's kinda to be expected. The portrait mode is pretty much spot on. Images did turn out great. The background blur wasn't too artificial. The edge detection for a phone in this segment was good. Overall, I liked it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Now, as far as videos go, the quality resembles what we've gotten with still images, reasonable amount of detail, average dynamic range. There is no stabilization here, so the footage is quite jittery. That said, the main competition, the Redmi Note 5 Pro, lacks any kind of support for 4K whatsoever, so I guess it's kinda okay. When it comes to selfies, the 8 megapixel f2.0 camera was nothing to write home about. It's going to be good for your Instagram pics and whatnot, but don't expect more from it. It does have a portrait mode too, and while not as good as the portrait mode on the rear cameras with the hardware depth sensor, it is still quite good. Well, cameras are in the best in class. What is indeed best in class is the battery life. The 5000 milliamp hour battery inside lasts quite a long time. Even when I was testing out the cameras quite intensively, repeatedly pushing the phone to check for any issues, even on those days where there was hardcore testing, the battery still did easily last me through a full day on a single charge. With days of regular use, 2-day battery life was definitely on the table. The fact that Asus have included a 5000 milliamp hour battery without this feeling like a brick is something that definitely needs to be appreciated. In fact, the Zenfone Max Pro feels like just about any other phone in hand. If you've used a phone with a huge battery in the past and think this might feel like that, then no, like I said, it feels like just about any other phone this size in hand. Well, a phone that will let you stream videos for well over a day on a single charge. Talking about streaming videos, the media capabilities of the Zenfone Max Pro are quite wonderful too. The 5.99-inch Full HD Plus IPS LCD display. Now, when I first saw this phone announcement, when I heard rumors on Asus wanting to be super aggro with the pricing, I felt they might compromise on the display. But fortunately, that's not been the case. This display is excellent, it's sharp, it's vibrant, produces quite accurate colors, and no matter the angle you look at, the screen's easy to be viewed from. The glass covering this display is not Gorilla Glass. Now that is a con, but for what it's worth, it comes with an oleophobic layer, so you don't have to worry about smudges or fingerprints at least. Now for a great media experience, it's not just enough to have an excellent display. You'd also need the audio output. The audio via the 3.5mm headphone jack was good. While the Max Pro doesn't have stereo speakers, it offers the next best thing, an excellent loud single speaker. It's complemented well by the fact that Asus throws in this passive amplifier, the Max box, and, well, the box. Anyway, here's a clip from my unboxing showing you the difference. Now, before we jump to price, there are a few omissions that I'd want to mention. One, there is no IR blaster on this guy, something you'd find on the competition. Two, there is no NFC support. Now, to be fair, you can't really expect this in this segment, and most other sensors, including gyroscope, are present and accounted for. Number three, there is no support for 5 GHz Wi-Fi. This means realistically, you're limited to about 50 Mbps speeds with Wi-Fi. That's plenty for everything, including streaming 4K video. Not that you're going to stream 4K video on a full HD display, but it is still a point worth mentioning given that the competition has it. Now, that said, let's talk price. The Zenfone Max Pro starts at 10,999 for the 332 variant. The 464 and 664 variants come in at 12,999 and 15,999 respectively. Additionally, Flipkart's offering a complete mobile protection plan with this phone for just 49 rupees. What Flipkart offers seems really interesting and appears to be great value, but as someone who recently had a bad experience shopping with Flipkart, I'm not gonna say this is a major pro and it should make or break your decision on buying this phone. I'm just gonna say it is there. Your mileage may vary. If you are checking this plan out, do let me know your experience in the comments below. So anyway, at these prices, the 332 variant is not even competing with the Redmi Note 5 Pro, but rather the Redmi Note 5. And in that case, there is no question the Zenfone Max Pro is the absolute better pick. The 464 variant does give the Redmi Note 5 Pro a run for its money. If taking a minor hit on the camera is okay for you, then the Max Pro will definitely serve you well. It's not perfect, but it is quite freaking good. And if you do want to pick one up, I'll leave direct links in the description below. Pre-orders go live on the 3rd of May and hope Asus has enough stocks. The 664 variant, now that's going to come with a different camera, so that's going to kind of be a totally different experience, so we're gonna have to test that one out and talk about it in a different video. So there you have it, my take on the Zenfone Max Pro. What do you guys think of this? Will this be your choice in the budget segment? Let me know in the comments below. So that's it for today's video. If you hated it, you know what to do. But if you did like it, go ahead, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on any of our content. Enough, I must bid you adieu. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this here is Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye bye.